New Monday on the Just Baseball Show. Today, Monday, March 18th. We got X Factors for the National League West, the American League West. We also have Walker Buehler on to talk about his teammates being in Seoul. He's not in Seoul, but is he going to get up at 3 a.m. Pacific? We'll find out. Jack Peter in person.
In person.
Who are we brought to you by?
BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Download the BetMGM app on iOS or Android. Use code JustBaseball when you deposit. Put down $5 at standard odds. It's minus 110.
Yep.
And then you get $150 back in bonus bets. The reason I'm laying it out, the steps, it's because it's an absolute no-brainer. Get your money in time for the MLB season. Remember, 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And we're brought to you by BetMGM. That's it.
You tweeted out a photo of me.
Yes, I did.
And I'm leaning into it.
Since we're in person, can you do a quick spin?
Yeah, sure. I'll stand up.
For all those watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, by the way.
Yeah.
Jack is wearing like the classic, I Googled what you should look like in Florida.
Yeah.
And like the white dad came up and you're like, perfect.
That's me. All I'm missing is the New Balance grilling cleats, like the white New Balances. But I went with the rubber Birkenstocks instead. I'm very happy about it.
Yep.
My girlfriend got me this shirt.
It's a
new print Abercrombie.
It's funny because the fit isn't bad. It just looks like you Googled what to wear in Florida and you killed it.
And the way that I put it was, I'm going to Florida. Why am I not going to put on my Florida fit?
Yeah. I mean, I got my chain.
Yeah, that's fine.
I got my chain.
Go ahead.
YouTube folks, see the chain.
We just wrapped up our spring breakout coverage. Hope you were able to follow along on my Twitter, on Arm's Twitter, also on the call-up Twitter. A lot of great stuff on the call-up side coming this week as well. But that was a unique opportunity, and now we're catching some ball. We're going to go see Christian Javier throw at Cacti Park, which is Travis Scott's naming rights. That's
No way.
Astros. Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait till you see that. Like, I think there's some Travis Scott branding around the ballpark. We're going on Monday night.
I did not know that. I had no idea. I wonder why Travis Scott is investing in minor league ballparks.
This is the first year. It's not even I guess it's minor league, but he bought like the Astros, right? Houston. He bought Houston's spring training ballpark naming rights. He's probably not rich enough to compete with Minute Maid, but he's rich enough to unseat whoever the naming sponsor was in Palm Beach before that.
It's also nice that it's going to be at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Because it's insanely humid here in Florida. I can't imagine playing baseball. Like, I'm sweating just watching, right? You and Arm were talking yesterday about how Arm is sweating during the podcast. And you were like, what? I sweat during the podcast. Do you not sweat?
I don't really sweat during the podcast.
I 100%. I'm wearing a dark shirt on purpose because we're in person. I would have pit stains at the end.
Really?
Yes. I don't know why. I feel the same as Arm. We must just be caffeine addicts.
I'm a caffeine,
and also I'm a yeller. I mean, I'm consistently screaming at you about my takes, using words like unbelievable when in fact you can believe a lot of what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just cool as a cucumber.
I think you are.
And I'm wearing the Florida fit, so it is conducive to airflow.
I think people are done with our airflow. Let's talk baseball.
Let's talk about the Oakland A's. This is what you turned in for, right? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through each team in the AL West, then the NL West, and just like we've done the last two episodes, we're going to name the X Factor, quick reason why. We have not consulted each other on these. So if we have the same guy, it just drives the point home even deeper. Oakland, who do you got?
Well, first of all, with Oakland, like, we have to understand, like, there's not one player that is going to impact the Oakland A's season so heavily that he would qualify as an X Factor.
Correct.
So there's plenty of guys on offense. Zach Geloff, Ryan Noda, Brett Rooker, Seth Brown, and they even got J.D. Davis, which is an interesting tidbit. But
a little newser there.
J.D. Davis back to the A's, which on the other side, we could talk about the J.D. Davis thing and how absurd it is that the Giants cut him and the collective bargaining, whatever. But they now have J.D. Davis. So I picked someone who I'm just really excited to see what happens to him. And that's Joe Boyle. Right now, if you go to Roster Resource on Fangraphs, he's currently the 5th slated pitcher.
He's in the rotation.
He's in the rotation. We've talked about him before. If you remember, the Reds and the A's made a trade last deadline. It was Sam Moll, who was a great reliever, going to the Cincinnati Reds from the A's, and they got a pitching prospect in Joe Boyle. Command all over the place.
No idea where it's going.
The heater is 101, and he just got nasty stuff. And you think to yourself, if it's ever in the strike zone, he can be effective. And in spring training, ERA below 3, 15 innings, 15 strikeouts. Now we're looking at 8 to 9 walks right now.
Yeah.
We're looking at some walks.
Yeah.
We're looking at a 6 walk per 9 type
Yeah.
of guy. But if he's a 4 walks per 9 guy, I think he could be really effective. And he's just a guy where if everything clicks, I think he could be at least a 3 in a rotation.
So X factors are the perfect time to play the what if game. And we're playing the what if
like
game.
we talked about.
Yeah. So my thought on Oakland, I like that pick of Joe Boyle. I was thinking about Joe Boyle. The way that I view this 2024 season for the Oakland A's is this. Who's going to Vegas with you? Like, you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
It's like, all right, who are the pieces on this roster that will last until the move to Vegas?
Kind of like when we talked about the Nationals, except they're not moving. Like,
Exactly.
who's going to be your core moving forward?
Exactly.
And how do you gauge that in the season's huge?
And this is an assessment year for a guy that is going to be 22 for the entirety of the season.
Yep.
The way that I view this season for Oakland is like, okay, on this roster, there are not a lot of pieces that I want to take to Vegas with me. 2 of them,
some.
Okay, yeah, so 2 of them,
No, taking Ryan Noda to Vegas, I think.
Yeah, so two of the pieces that I'm taking to Vegas are Ryan Noda and Shea Langoliers. So
you're not taking you're taking Zach Della.
I'm taking Geloff. Yeah. But where does that put Tyler Soderstrom, who's playing catcher and first base? He had an OPS under 500 last year. I've got a first 45 games of 472 OPS.
He was weirdly terrible. I remember watching it.
But he was also
their big guy.
But he was also 21 years old.
Good point.
And like he was good at 21 in AAA, but he gets out of the PCL. He's like the guy that you look at in the A's lineup. So I look at Soderstrom because he needs to be better than one of Shea Langoliers or Ryan Noda. He needs to displace one of them. And I think this season, his first full season in the major leagues, gives him the opportunity to displace one of Shea Langoliers and Ryan Noda. If I were a betting man, it would be Noda.
I would bet that as well. But couldn't we see a world in which Noda maybe slides to a corner and they have
sure. Or like even DHs. Yeah. 100%. All right, the LA Angels here.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love talking about the A's. I'm on the A's over. Haven't gotten our win totals bet yet. It's the lowest projected win total in betting history in the MLB side. It is the lowest projected win total, 57 wins.
Oh my!
The lowest they've ever tracked. I'm on the over. This is
too low. You did it because it's too low.
It's too low.
Were you one of the guys that, I know this was a thing that people did, were you one of the guys that always bet on the Orioles win total over when it was that low, when it was like 61?
No. The thing is that was like what? That was almost 5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago.
I wasn't as active in the future market then. But this is an A's team, 59.5 last year. They finished with 50, which was already one of the lowest of all time. And the A's are better than they were last year.
JD Davis is on the team.
JD Davis. But you look at the roster and you think to yourself, all right, they're going to be terrible, but they're not the worst team in MLB history terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm on the over. I like it. I think there's value there. I think that it should be at 60.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in future episodes.
Fair. How about the LA Angels, man?
Right.
You've got a lineup takeaway.
Yeah, guys.
He's back in. He's doing it again.
Bringing it, YouTube folks. People listening on audio. Are we saying the Angels lineup isn't good? I mean, all right, let's run through it real quick. They're doing it every year. I'm not betting on the Angels. I will not do it, but I can say that I like it. Luis Rengifo, pretty good. Nolan Shanwell, he's going to hit, sort of. Mike Trout, I mean, what do I have to say? Anthony Rendon, imagine if he starts liking
Taylor
Ward, no, I couldn't do it. Taylor Ward, good hitter. Brandon Drury, good hitter. Mickey Moniak, could be a good hitter. Logan O'Hoppe is good. Zach Neto is good. I mean, come on. That's not a bad one.
And the bench has Joe Adell, who I'm still convinced is going to be an all-star at some point soon.
They have Aaron Hicks.
Aaron Hicks outside of New York is awesome.
He's awesome.
So I'm in Baltimore. He's great.
No, it's so funny. He was good in Baltimore for 5 minutes. And then the headlines went out. And he wasn't any good.
Sticking it to the Yankees, and then after that, it's like a 500 OPS.
So that's how we talk about the Angels, because there isn't a lot to be excited about, and there's hard to find all right, this guy's going to be great, so that means the Angels are going to be great.
So my guy that I'm really IDing right now, I still think that they're going to get Snell. I think I see the Astros stuff.
Yeah.
I see it, and they're still going to pay for a pitcher, but I ID'd Reed Detmers out of guys that are on this roster. Did you have Detmers too?
I didn't. I actually went hitters because I think this grouping of Detmers, Canning, Sandoval, Silseth. Like even, I mean, imagine if Tyler Anderson isn't horrible.
Yeah.
There's just so many pitchers that are X factors. So I went with an offensive piece. But if I were to choose a pitchers, it would be Detmers.
My thing is like, Detmers is the one that I can close my eyes and in some stretch see it too.
He's not even 25 years old yet.
I know. He's a young guy. He already has a couple of full seasons under his belt, and this guy had a 3.5 ERA.
Yep.
It was a 3.77 in 2022. He turns around, that number elevates by almost a run. He went from 3.5 to 4.5. If he can flirt with 175 innings and give him a mid-threes ERA, he can be a front of the rotation guy as a time buyer. He's not a 1, but he can be a 2 behind a guy like Blake Snell. I think that could be really helpful.
100%. And that's the thing. It's like when I was thinking about X factors with the Angels, it's a guy who you just want to watch and you know can succeed maybe better than last year.
Yes.
And a guy I ID'd where it doesn't even make sense with the way I just introed it. This is a guy who I was shocked had the first half that he did and completely fell off in the second half. And I thought to myself, is he good or is he not? Number 1 overall pick, Mickey Moniak. Mickey Moniak in the first half slashed 308, 338, 646 for a 984 OPS in the first half. Second half, clearly dealing with injuries, had a back thing that kept him out and put up a 670 OPS. If he's like this incredible player, I still don't think the Angels are going to achieve much. But what is he? Is he the guy heralded out of high school as like one of these can't miss bats who's just going to fly up a system, play center field, play it fine, but the bat was going to play? And then we finally saw it. Remember, he's kicked out of Philly, right? They just sent him over for basically nothing. I mean, Brandon Marsh is not nothing.
Well, it was Marsh for O'Hoppe.
It was Marsh for O'Hoppe. Who was the Moniak? Syndergaard. Okay. But I'm just thinking to myself, what will he become? Because he's still, I mean, the guy is going to be 26 years old. There's still something in there. I just remember watching him in the first half and feeling like this can stick. It didn't stick in the second half of last year, but can it? It's more of a question than an X factor.
And I like that question too, but we'll jump to the Seattle Mariners here now. The Mariners are as intriguing a case as anybody, and I think that you can point to 4 or 5 guys on this roster, but I go to the middle of the lineup, and I had to pick between Jorge Polanco and Mitch Garver, and I went with the guy that's going to be their everyday DH in Garver.
And it's so funny because I went with the other one.
Okay, you went with Polanco. So I think we probably echo the same sense.
Yeah.
Where they were starved of middle of the order power. They were starved for power in general, aside from Julio. Those are 2 guys that can hit 25 homers.
Definitely.
And like if Garver as a full-time DH can hit 30 homers and be a middle of the order thumper, all of a sudden you've got Julio with 30 capability, you've got Cal Raleigh with 30 capability, and then you've got a guy like Garver. And if you get 90 homers spread between 3 people, I'm a happy camper with that pitching staff and that bullpen.
I mean, yeah, if you can get 30 home runs from all of them, the Mariners are going to be dangerous.
Yes.
I went with Jorge Polanco.
Yeah.
So I actually texted the Marine Layer Pod, one of the new podcasts on the Just Baseball Network. It's not new. They've actually been with us now for a little bit.
They can tell. If you're interested in the Mariners at all, go listen to them.
They are fantastic. Lyle and TJ, Mariners fans, go check out the Marine Layer podcast. And I texted them and I asked, my X factor is Jorge Polanco. Is there anybody else who you guys think is a better X factor? And they said, yes, probably Jorge Polanco, but also mentioned Ty France. The reason I didn't say Ty France is I just think Ty France is going to be good. And I don't think like if he shows what he did last year, the Mariners are going to be as strapped because they've added so many more pieces, especially, adding a guy like Luke Raley. Like maybe he's taking more at bats there. So I went with second base because the last good Mariners second baseman was Robinson Cano, which feels like almost a decade ago.
Yeah.
I mean, they have just been going through either minor leaguers or Colton Wong or Alan Frazier. Like it's just been it's been a position that is among the worst from second base production around the league. Now they add Jorge Polanco, who is just an X factor in himself. There have been years with the Twins where he goes 30 bombs and looks like one of the best second basemen in baseball. Yeah. And then there's times where he's injured and looks like he's unplayable. Yeah. So he's an X factor in himself. And then you put him in that second base position for the Mariners. I think it makes him the biggest X factor in the National League West.
In the American League West.
American League West. What am I saying?
I'm with you.
I'm getting excited.
I guess the reason that I opted for Garver instead of Polanco is I'm just like I'm souring.
Wrong. Yeah.
I'm wrong, but it's also like I soured on the idea of grabbing a second baseman that I'm interested in how they fit. Like Colton Wong, Polanco is objectively better than Wong was when they acquired Colton Wong versus when they acquired Polanco, but we were all positive about them getting Colton Wong, and then he lays an egg.
We were.
Like, I was like, oh, they added Colton Wong. This is a missing piece that they just filled. Polanco, I was like, oh, they're adding Jorge Polanco. This is a missing piece that they just filled. I'm worried that we're having an identical conversation about a guy that I'm excited about, and he's going to burn me. So I went with the other one.
That's 100% valid.
Yeah.
And I'm nervous that if Polanco does struggle with the Mariners, they have a cursed position
Correct.
for the rest of their franchise. Because think about before Cano.
Segura was good for a minute.
Like
but
what,
was
like
he also
10 minutes?
playing short?
Yeah, it's like I don't even like. Can you name a great Mariners second base? I mean, maybe I'm being stupid and I'm forgetting somebody.
I'm being stupid.
But it's always like the Edgar Martinez's and the Ken Griffey Juniors and the A-Rods, like even dating back to the Randy Johnsons, like their best players ever. I don't think of any second baseman. And then I think of them signing Robinson Cano on a 10-year deal and him really not producing like he did with the Yankees, and then them trading him to the Mets with Edwin Diaz for Jared Kelenic. It's just like that really didn't work the way Mariners fans think. And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, I'm sure you're looking it up right now. Who are the all-time Mariners second baseman? I feel like they haven't had one in their entire history.
No, like Dustin Ackley was all right.
For what? I mean, he was their, second overall pick?
Jose Lopez was all right.
I mean, this is what we're talking about, though.
Yeah, I'm just clicking back year by year. They started Jose Lopez for a while.
Yeah, I mean,
all right. So, yeah, I mean, he could be the first one in quite a bit. We
Mariners fans on YouTube.
Yeah,
in the
tell us if
comments,
we're being idiots.
are we forgetting somebody? I don't think we are, but we probably are.
Two more in the American League West, the Houston Astros. The Astros are, you said, maybe as complete a team on paper as they've had in a long time.
So good.
This was actually easy for me, considering that they are in the Snell sweepstakes right now. They have a lot of starting pitching question marks around them.
So we're on the same page.
Yeah, it's Verlander.
I said Hunter Brown.
Okay.
Well, so we're on the same page.
Yeah, so mine is health. I'm like, if Verlander's healthy, if Verlander gives him 150 innings, like going Verlander, Framber, Javier, and then Brown as the 4 is great. You get Garcia back around the All-Star break. You may get McCullers. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with Urquidy, but
it's more likely they get back Luis Garcia than Lance McCullers.
Where is McCullers? I don't know. You have to operate expecting life without him at this point moving forward. But my thought is if Verlander is at the top of the rotation, that's a steadying presence. But I like the young guy stepping up, and I'm big on him as a breakout guy this year.
It's so funny. I thought we were both going to go Hunter Brown, but when you bring up Verlander, I'm thinking to myself, that's equally as good of an X factor. Imagine, since 2021, he's number 1 in ERA in Major League Baseball. Damn. That's like, he's 41. And those have been his age, like 38 to 40 years.
Yeah.
So if he can deliver anything close to that, you have a frontline ace, right? That they didn't have for, I guess, the majority of last season because Framber struggled a little bit. But the reason I went with Hunter Brown was he came out of the gate hot. Not great, 4.12 ERA in the first half, but you could tell, like, all right, this is going to be our guy. Falls off a cliff, 6.57 ERA in the second half. And so I was listening to him talk about it. He said it was just general fatigue, which is fine because this is his first real big workload. But there's also an element in his statistics that I don't think are going to stick. He gave up almost 2 home runs per 9 in the second half. That's just something that always equalizes out.
Yeah.
Like, he is not a guy who is going to give up that many home runs. That's what contributed to the super high ERA, and that was 2 home runs per 9 to right-handed hitters, which even furthers the point where it's like, that's not a real thing. That was just a coincidence, I think. So you combine fatigue in his first year,
weird home run blip
in the second half to righties.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself that
he's gonna spin enough shit away from him. Yeah.
Completely discounting that. If he can be a guy that's in the high 3s with his strikeout stuff, with the possibility of being better, I mean, you just went Verlander, Framber, Javier, and then Brown.
Yes.
And then if you add Snell to that, that's why I placed my World Series future on. I mean, they're overwhelming, not to mention the bullpen. We'll talk about win totals.
Yes. All right. We're tying a bow on the American League West with the Texas Rangers. The Rangers are the reigning World Series champ. There are a couple of injuries that you have to monitor in this lineup on opening day. Wyatt Langford might be in this lineup on opening day. He should be in this lineup on opening day. He is the best hitter in all of Major League Baseball in OPS in spring training at this point.
Crazy.
He's ridiculous.
He started off like 0 for 7.
Yeah,
and he just never got out for the rest of spring.
So I'll be honest, I'm expecting him to be really good. That's why he's not my X factor.
Me too. I mean, you can't even because the reason he's not an X factor is because if he does nothing this year, it's still a top 5 offense.
Correct.
So it's just adding more gold to your pile of gold.
Yeah, so I'm not looking at the offense at all. I go to the starting rotation, and they're expecting Malley back. They're expecting DeGrom back. They have reinforcements coming, but how do you get through the front half of the season? I trust that Eovaldi is going to get them through that.
Me too.
He needs a Robin.
Yep.
And John Gray can be that Robin. There we go.
Same one. He was really inconsistent in the second half.
But he had an awesome World Series.
And he had forearm tightness, which kept him out in September. And I think that's really contributed to his poor second half. In the first half, 3.29 ERA. Second half, 5.32. Looked like a different pitcher, was injured, and then looked healthy in the World Series and showed. If John Gray is good, because Eovaldi's going to do his thing, they're going to get back all these starters like Heaney, Dunning. They're going to give you what they give you
together.
5 inning type game.
Cody Bradford, same thing. Yeah.
And then, the offense is going to have to score 8, which they probably will. But if John Gray can be dominant and then you get back, like you said, Malley and Rom and Scherzer, then they have an unstoppable rotation and then they're World Series favorites once again. John Gray is huge for them this year.
And one other reason that I'm sold on John Gray is he was the guest on episode 1 of the newest podcast on the Just Baseball Network, Clubhouse Chatter, hosted by Kevin Henry. And here's the deal. John Gray getting to sit down with him for 10 to 15 minutes, and it's going to be 10 to 15 minutes every Monday. They're going to come out. He was episode 2, pardon. That'll be out by the time you're listening to this. Episode 1 was Brendan Rodgers of the Rockies, another guy who I'm buying the health from.
Yeah.
But he had a great conversation with John Gray about the confidence that he has coming into this year, and he's just so big. So go listen to Clubhouse Chatter. I will add the link to that podcast in the episode description. Kevin does a great job. 15-minute interview-based podcast bites every Monday on the Just Baseball network of podcasts.
Go follow Kevin on Twitter. He's a great Twitter.
He's awesome.
He's posting videos from spring, it feels like every 5 minutes.
Yes.
I don't even know how he's traveling. I feel like he's at different parts every second.
He's awesome,
and
man.
I know it's his video.
He's a superstar.
He's a superstar. I love Kevin. Shout out Kevin Henry. Yeah, definitely go check that out because he's a